south of France, then you get rain. For the third round of the Blancpain Endurance Series, we're at Paul Ricard, and in the last few minutes it started to rain. Not that heavily. Some cars have gone to the grid on wet tyres, most have gone on slicks. Hopefully the road is going to dry out, because we've been plagued by bad weather so far this year. We had a very wet race at Monza, a very wet race at Silverstone, and yesterday qualifying and the practice sessions running, glorious weather conditions here at Paul Ricard. Track temperature 24 degrees, it's very humid, and you can see the air pressure there as well, but it's this real threat of rain that has got the teams on their toes. In some cases the teams want rain, because there are a number of cars here that just have not got the grunt in a straight line for a long Mistral straight, and they hope that the wet weather might bring them back into the equation. Amongst them, the Marc VDS Racing Team, championship leaders, double winners this year with the BMW Z4s. They are struggling for straight line speed here. This is how the Pro Cup looks, with Bast Linders, Maxime Martin and Marcus Paltela, winners at Monza, winners at Silverstone, ahead of the Audi drivers Edward Sandstrom, Laurence Vantour and Christopher Hauser. Then it's Christopher Mies and Stefan Tortelli, with the Pro-Am battle also being hugely competitive this year. Eugenio Amos, Alessandro Bonaccini and Giacomo Petrobelli, ahead of Ludovic Badet, Jean-Luc Bobolic and Patrice Gouillard. Mark Hayek and Peter Cox, third in class, having only done the one race at Silverstone. They missed Monza due to Mark Hayek's business commitments. Andreassi, Caccia and Palladino lead the Gentleman Trophy, but they're absent this weekend, allowing Hershey and Hissam, and Michael Bender, Jan Brunstedt and Jochen Mangs, who's qualified the Coral Pole in the Gentleman Trophy, to steal some points back again this weekend. As ever, a monster field of cars. We've lost a few, I have to say, over the course of the weekend. We lost one of the Mercedes, the Lechner racing car, after the bronze test yesterday. That car developed various issues. And we've had, thanks to qualifying, a couple of cars we damaged. One being the 33 Porsche, run by Pro GT. David Touchebon crashed that. We've also lost number 91 McLaren, Akira Ida, crashed that, did quite a lot of damage. So those two cars are not going to start. See the grid graphic going through. Look at the different brands we've got on the front of the grid. Look at the different names as well, because after the previous two rounds, you kind of get in a pattern of thinking Marc VDS or Team WRT being up at the pointy end. Very different, the grid for this, partly because of the nature of the circuit, partly because of the balance of performance, and it is going to be one of those great first hours where you've got some cars rising up the order, some dropping back a little bit. 22 is going to be one to watch, because that car has had dramas over the weekend. Matt Bell will start, and going back to yesterday, they had to have a new gearbox fitted, so they lost quite a lot of running in the United Autosports McLaren. Car number 88 is going to be started by Rob Barth, and that'll be one to watch, the Von Ryan Racing run. McLaren, Rob normally does the last stint, but here doing the first stint, and again that's going to be a car that should work its way up towards the front. Lots of weaving around as the cars come down the Mistral straight and head towards turn 10, which in old money is called Signe, the long, fast right-hander. That then takes them up to Bossé, and then the very twiddly last part of the lap in the third sector. The very final corner, turn 15, is the really slow and tight virage Groupon. Yesterday, a few people getting that wrong. There were a few spins towards the last few corners. So there you can see the vast runoff area, barely a blade of grass inside, but you've got the painted blue and red and white stripes there, which will act as retardation if cars go off the road, and they work well. But the last corner, tight and twisty anyway, then that's where there could be a possibility of a bit of contact. So the drivers continue to weave around to generate temperature into the tyres, and the maximum anyway we can do is 70 minutes, 75 if the safety car is out at the end of your stint. You get points for being in the top 10. Only 6 team members per car per pit stop, plus the so-called dead man on the fuel rig. 2 mandatory stops, so if they can, the teams will try and come in on the hour mark. Well, fuel hasn't been an issue in the previous 2 rounds of the championship, thanks to the weather. Whether it's going to be an issue here on such a fast circuit, and if it stays dry, we'll wait and see. Round 3 then of the Blancpain Endurance Series is about to get underway. The cars work their way now then through Virage Dupont. The pace car as it is will peel for the pit lane. Drivers accelerate up towards the line, and round 3 of the Blancpain Endurance Series from Paul Ricard gets underway. 1 or 2 with the wipers still on, and it's going to be the Vini Rigon then who tries to get ahead of Mirko Venturi on the run down towards Ferrière for the first time. The field goes storming through, including Marc VDS and United Autosports running together, but the 2 Ferraris overlap as they go down to the first corner, and it's the Vini Rigon that leads a rather sideways. Venturi goes second, third is Beltoise, fourth is Dennis Retter, and there's contact behind. Look at the Audi gets muscled out of the way, and a damaged Porsche. Now, was that the Dierdala car, or was that Mark Henrici in 75? I think it was possibly Mark Henrici. Is now Venturi at the chicane, goes for the race lead, he goes through. You can see the drivers fighting for traction on cold tyres on a slightly greasy road, but Mirko Venturi doing what he said he was going to do after qualifying, which was to try to hit the front early on and build up a gap. Goes ahead of Davide Rigon, but Mark Henrici has got damage on the front of the Porsche. And the BMW that he muscled out of the way. I think it was the number 40 Santilot racing car, Jérôme Demé at the wheel of it. So that too has lost places on this opening lap as the cars now work their way through L'école and onto the long Mistral straight for the first time. There's the damage on the front of Marquette Ritchie Porsche. It's not slowing him too much, he's keeping at bay. And Stefan Lemeray driven BMW. The cars make their way down towards Sydney for the first time. Great scraps going on right the way through the order here. So Henrici keeping at bay. Lemeray as the cars turn their way through Sydney. Now the Marquez BMW getting on behind the two WRT Audis. One or two cars running wide, and one of them in fact was the Audi. Now which was that? Was that two or was that one that ran over the curb and has dropped a bit of ground? You've got also in the mix there number 50 Ferrari. Jack Gerber at the wheel with the South African flag writ large on the side as the cars wriggle their way now up towards the end of the lap. Big hurry as well, and the Lamborghini trying to work his way through to the front of the class if he possibly can. This running, remember, in the Pro-Am Cup. So the cars, for the first time, head up towards Virage Dupont, and as they do so, is it still going to be Mirko Venturi that leads? And if he can hang on to the advantage, can he start to pull away? One car going a little bit wide there, which looked possible underneath it for BMW. Recovers as the cars power their way now over the line for the first time. This is Ferrari 1-2 at the end of the lap. Venturi is leading Ricard in second place, and then third going through is Anthony Beltoise. In fourth place is Dennis Redder. Fifth is Dylan Deerdala. Sixth, despite the damage, is Henrici. Lemeray there seventh. Demé having dropped back is eighth. Ninth is Arno Santomato, and 10th is Dico Verdon in the orange McLaren lead Junior Racing car. 11th is Matt Bell. Well, Rob Bell starting a long way down the order in the Gulf Racing car. They've had to change the two turbos on that car after failure in qualifying. So Rob Bell's going to be trying to work his way through. It's going to take him a while to do it. It's such a busy field. Now you've got there number 12, Gregoire de Moustier on the inside, looking at the white and red McLaren, trying to find a way past Bas Linders. Bas Linders now in 15th place, so it's kind of gaining places and then dropping back as others in perhaps better suited cars to Paul Ricard are able to gain ground off him, and Gregoire de Moustier goes up on the inside line there. The McLaren dives through, gains the place as they head down into the chicane. They're in different classes, so where it changes the order overall, it doesn't affect things as far as the class battles are concerned. So Gregoire de Moustier now goes up in the 15th place. That's the car that he shares with the quick Brit Duncan Tappy, and it was a strong car as well, a good contender that at Silverstone in the second round of the championship. How about that for a multi-million euro traffic jam, as you've got Ferraris and Porsches and the rather subdued Vita 4-1 BMW also way down. The car started by the reigning champion Greg Franchi. That car in 26th, and off the road is the number 2 Audi, Edward Sandstrom at the wheel of it. He's had a drama. Stopped at turn 14, which is Tour, almost at the end of the lap. Can he get going? The car is off the road, and it doesn't look as though it can get going. Now, how it's got there, whether it's a mechanical issue or whether there's been contact that's fired him off the road, we've not yet seen. But either way, one of the front-running cars off the road. That car, remember, second in both of the previous 2 rounds of the championship, so this is a big, big drama for it. As in the meantime, this great Ferrari scrap rages on, but we're diving up on the inside 52, the black, predominantly black AF Corsa Ferrari. Nick Homerson at the wheel of it, just picking off places, hand over fist, chasing after him. He's Klaus Hummel in the orange and white McLaren, the Lapidus racing car, first time out for that in the championship this year, and Olivier Pla in the white Porsche, another very quick single-seater racer, turned sports car racer, now turned GT racer, getting in the mix as well. Everywhere you look, there's a battle, there's order shuffling, and this hopefully is going to go on for 3 hours. Fantastic stuff. 57 Ferrari now. Giacomo Petrovelli, the car having qualified way down, that's coming into the mix as well. And Petrovelli lines up and nips past Klaus Hummel as they come through Virage Dupont. Great stuff, this. Race order, still 64 Ferrari. Mirko Venturi leads 71, Davide Rigon. And then in third place is 34 Anthony Beltoise, fourth, another 14, Dennis Redder, fifth is Mark Henrici. And in sixth place, you've got number 74, Dylan Deerdala. And there you can see flapping bodywork on the blue and silver Santilot Audi. That, remember, was caused on the first lap when it was lent on by the Pro Speed Porsche. And he's lost places and a bit of ground as a result, and a bit of a wobble as well there as the cars went through Bossé. Gets away with it. 31 is in the pit lane. This is Georges Caban, normally a pace setter within the Gentleman Trophy, and in early doors that car. Now, it didn't even race at Silverstone because the engine detonated in qualifying, and it hasn't got very much further in this next round of the championship because it's only done 3 laps, and one of those brought it into the pit lane. Reigning champion Greg Franchi there looking 66. The black and turquoise BMW 26th at the start of the lap, and in danger of being mugged here. He's in traffic, he's trying to gain places, and you've also got joining in behind him the Gulf Racing McLaren, which is in a big, big hurry in the hands of Rob Bell. sister car that runs in the Pro-Am Cup. Stuart Hall doing the opening stint. And a big lose there. That's the number 50 Jack Gerber Ferrari. People scatter left and right in avoidance. Not for the first time we've seen Jack Gerber in a bit of strife. He should be able to rejoin from there as you've got the two Gulf Racing McLarens together then, with Rob Bell just ahead of Stuart Hall as they come up towards the line. Another great battle here rages on. 72 Kessel Racing Ferrari. That's got Gino Forgione at the wheel of it, comes over the line, and he's busy battling with the number 19 Mercedes from Black Falcon. Never mind that for a second, because another great Ferrari fight is raging on ahead of them. 21 Duncan Cameron now getting in the mix as well. 72 goes wide Forgione, and that means he loses out to Riccardo Bruchin. And now the champion is in trouble. That's Greg Franchi now, who's run wide, and that looks more than just running wide, to be fair, like he's had to pull wide because the BMW has got a problem. This is the Vita41 Racing Team car, one of the top teams, and last year's champion, and the car looks like it's going to be stranded out by the side of the road. 31st it was at the start of the lap. So again, you've got one of the leading teams in trouble very early in the race. And now also, we're getting a report that 64, the leading car, is down the pit lane. He's being shown on the timing screens having pitted, so Davide Rigon picks up the lead. We've now therefore got dramas for number 64, Marco Venturi, down the pit lane, according to the timing screen. And what's all this about? The car that was up front and trying to build a lead, got the best lap of the race to his credit, but now it's coming to the pit lane. So we've had about 14 minutes, and a heck of a lot has happened, and there's a lot more yet to come. 71, Davide Rigon, new race leader. You can see the yellow flags being waved ahead, but it's picked up the lead thanks to 64. Now having come into the pit lane, and the 66 is now being pushed to a safe position. That's the Vita41 BMW. There's nothing safe about 10th, though, for Jerome Deme, because he's under monster pressure now. Look, the Ferrari right up behind him. Alessandro Bonetti tries to come up alongside him on this long drag. Remember, 175 miles an hour plus they get to on the run towards Senior, the very fast right-hander at the end of the Mistral straight. The Ferrari goes ahead of the Audi. Grégoire de Mustier right there behind in the McLaren. It's run by the ART Grand Prix team. Then behind him, you've got number one, the surviving WRT Audi of Christopher Mies, and Dan Bas Linders, championship leader, running in 14th place. Yes, really, but there's more to come from that. The team hoping as well that the way the car has been set up to work well by going around the outside lines on corners might be able to get in a few places. And also they're hoping that the weather's going to change, and that in strife is 74 Dylan Dedala. Lots of tire smoke, and he's got that wrong by the look of it, coming through Tour up towards Virage Dupont at the end of the lap, and there's been contact, has there, because that car looks like it's crabbing. Look at that left rear wheel. That's going to have to head for the pit lane, and yet another front-running car is in trouble, and I'm not convinced that's going to go back into the race, because clearly there is suspension damage as it drifts its way involuntarily down the pit lane. Dedala was running in the top 6. He's now down the pit lane, and also in has come Grégoire de Mustier. Are the two things related? Is it contact between the two? Well, either way, number 12, McLaren, has come in. There it is in the background, and there you can see the Porsche limping its way in. And the Pro Speed team, which hasn't had a lot of luck this year, is going to have to go to work. Looking down on the pit box from where I am in the pit lane, and the team is ready. Worried faces, and it looks like this is going to have to be a long stop. It may even be that the car is retired. If they can repair it, it's worth sending it out by way of a test session. Nothing more than that now. It's going to be such a long stop. And Grégoire de Mustier also tumbling down the order. And there is the car that led early on. It's pretty short of lead for the Ferrari at Blackpool Swiss Racing. Marco Venturi led. The car is in its pit garage. Things do not look encouraging. We've got the race leader working lap 11, Davide Rigon. We've seen 64 still sitting in its pit box, going no further. It would appear, even though it's done the best lap of the race early on in the hands of Marco Venturi. And let's see if we can find out more about that. Big shock, that car coming into the pit lane. Haley, of course, is in the pit lane. Haley, what news about 64 then? The Ferrari in trouble?
Hey, Addis, yeah, the update is gearbox issues. Having issues with the gears changing, so they had to bring it in. It is not repairable.
Oh dear, right, thanks for that, Haley. So bad news, gearbox not working, not repairable, out of the race early on. So that tells us the story, and it tells us why this car now, 71 Davide Rigon, is not just leading, but he's on his own, look. Barely a car around him, only now does Anthony Beltoise come over the timing line in the Porsche in second place, being chased by Dennis Rether. A very quick Dutch driver who's never had the money to really progress once he got to British Formula 3, but in these sorts of cars he goes very strongly, and this car in his hands was fast yesterday in the pre-qualifying session, so don't discount it. It's not normally a front runner, but it's a different driver setup for this weekend, because Dennis Rether, who is the regular quick driver in it, is continued to be partnered by Rafael Vanthor, Laurens Vanthor's father, but Koen Wouters transfers from the absent 13 from the Pro Cup into this car, and Koen Wouters has proved to be very, very quick indeed this year. Now, Edward Sandstrom, we've lost from the race. Let's find out why. Hayley, all yours.
Edward, can you update us on what happened to you out there in the Audi?
It's some transmission failure. I went through Lassine, the fast corner on the backside, and I lost the drive or the power in the car, so I couldn't do anything, unfortunately. It's real sorry for the team and sorry for my teammates and sorry for myself. We were on a good way. I think the car was working very well. It felt very good, Audi, and I look forward to a long stint, but what can you do?
You haven't had any transmission issues this weekend at all?
Oh, I haven't had an issue with the transmission in an Audi during my time with Audi now, so it's really something uncommon.
Thank you.
That's a good point Edward Sandstrom makes. It's not often you find mechanical drivers second on in the transmission for Audis. And car then out of the race. You just see Jerome Deme dropping back as well, because working his way through has gone Nathalie Lardagna. You've also now got 52 Nick Homerson trying to join the party. And Rob Barth is up with them there in the very impressively liveried Von Ryan racing car. Price has been Rob Road successful in the GT Trophy last year. And now number 40, Jerome Deme, is off the road and with damage. And that doesn't look self-induced either, does it? There are bits lying on the ground. The right-hand side of the car has taken a big whack. Let's try and piece it all together. This is at the end of the Mistral. Seam and Deme thinking a punctured tyre. He does. The car sits down. The tyre is let go and it spins, and there's contact with somebody else, possibly an empty going through, and then a big whack. 23 Mark Blundell right into the side, and yet again United Autosports have problems. And Mark Blundell, electrical pre-racer of course, winner, experienced driver, nowhere to go, bang into the side of the Audi. So two more cars we have lost with damage, but it was all started by number 40 having to puncture Jerome Deme. You saw the car snake, you can see it sit down as it went through Senior, and then the puncture, the spin, the contact, and 23 Mark Blundell into the side of it. We are going to go safety car. There you can see the reason for the safety car. Off is 23 with lots of damage, Mark Blundell's car, and 40 in the background. So safety car deployed. And number 71, please slow down, asked the race director. That's the leader, because they need him to slow, and then the safety car can scoop him up, and everybody can then line up behind him. So this is going to bring down some of the gaps. Into the pit lane has come the second place Porsche now. 34, Anthony Beltoise has come in. And quite a few teams, I think, expecting cars, because you've also got number 1 Christopher Mies, Bas Linders is in, Gaetano Ardagna is in. So more and more cars now electing to make these pit stops. Gaetano Ardagna there pops out. I think I can say Dan Brown's going to take the car over. We'll double check in a second. Bas Linders should give way to Marcus Paltela, who normally does the first stint, but they're gambling on a bit of rain mid-race, and they want Marcus out when it's wet. So Bas Linders scampers away, and fueling done. The tyres are now going to be changed. So there's the Beltoise car making its way down the pit lane. It will of course lose ground overall, and as it heads down the pit lane, it's lost track position to the number 1 Audi. There's 51 Ferrari set to go. So again, the order becomes somewhat jumbled as a consequence of all of this. 3 does go the way now of Marcus Paltela, and number 4 has come in as well, the second of the Mark VDS BMWs, started by Bert Longchamp, and Mike Hesitons to take the car over, and it's going to go racing at the end of this lap. The race director has announced it to the teams that we'll go back to green flag conditions at the end of this next lap of the race, this being lap 21. And therefore, those that haven't made a pit stop are going to do it under green flag conditions and lose more time than those that have just served the first of the 2 regulation pit stops. So again, this is going to help 1 or 2 of the teams within their strategy as the cars now accelerate their way up toward Virage du Pont. Now, who's going to dive for the pit lane on this lap, if anybody, out of that leading group? There's one slower car, which is the 98 Audi between the top 2, and Mark Henrici looks like he's going to come into the pit lane. Yes, and the second place car will pit, and more behind him as well are heading for the pit lane, and all of that means they're going to lose a bit of ground. 22 comes in, that being Matt Bell. Also in to come 9 Alessandro Bonetti, and 82 Gaël Lesunier comes in the Viper. Teams are running out into the pit lane to try and identify their car, and that is the Viper that arrives at a very jaunty angle. And I think the team are going to have to wriggle that back into a proper place before they can do the driver change. Gilles Van Ley will high up to take over the car. So, Davide Ricard leads Nico Verdonk now because of Mark Henrici heading into the pit lane. Jaguar coming in as well to serve its first mandatory stop, if you like. It's had an unscheduled stop, but now for a driver change for that car. So, continuing shuffling of the order, and we are 9 minutes away from the end of the first hour. A lot has happened. I know we've had those few safety car laps, but it's been busy. 98 there in the mix after a pit stop. That car has been taken over by Jan Brunstedt. Remember, that was the Gentleman Trophy winning car from Silverstone. Jan Brunstedt relieves the start driver Jocke Mangs. Nico Verdonk has lapped him. McLaren fight, Stephen Jelly getting away from Rob Barth. Behind them is Klaus Hummel. And there's contact, is there? Because Mark Hayek spins. The Nissan of Alex Buncombe was right on his tail. Did they touch? Well, Mark Hayek spins. And the Blancpain rider Lamborghini is stranded on the road. It fires, it gets going now. And staggers back towards the circuit, trying to keep out of harm's way. Has it suffered any damage? Was there contact? Certainly it looked as though the Nissan was very, very close. And Mark Hayek, does he get going? Is there damage? Let's see. Yes, there is damage. Punctured tyre possibly on the back of it. Looks like it, doesn't it? As the car limps on. And you can also see the damage where bodywork's been pushed in. So Mark Hayek is heading for the pit lane. And he's heading for, of course, a very long lap here. He's got to be so careful with his car that he doesn't go so quickly that he does more damage. So let's see. The Nissan closes onto the tail. Now, did the tyre let go and spin, or was the contact what punctured the tyre and caused that damage? Hard to see from that angle, but either way, Mark Hayek rotates, and I think he's going to park it. He's on the radio to the team, and I think the instruction is, look at where it is. We get a replay of the contact that turned around the Lamborghini. Yes, and a frustrated gesture from Mark Hayek, so what was all that about? So clearly he feels that it was the Nissan that triggered that incident, not the tyre going down. And Donny Milroy worked his way through traffic. We've got a sideways Porsche in the background. Is that the Laurent Pasquale Porsche? It is. He hangs onto a big, big slide. Just about gets away with it. And that, of course, was the corner where we saw Mark Hayek in strife a couple of laps ago. Now, number one, Christopher Hauser, he's coming into the mix as well. And so in the background is Dan Brown, the young Brit, who's very impressive in these sorts of cars. That was well and truly on then, as they find their way up through next sequence of corners, heading up towards Village and then Tour, and then the Virage du Pont at the end of the lap. Now, Laurent Pasquale is looking a little bit smoky, I think, from the back. Now, we saw him get sideways early on in the lap. Yeah, it's on fire, that's why it's smoky. There's just a little flash of flame out of the back, and that car is going to have to head for the pit lane. There it is, flame out as it comes out of Virage du Pont for the pit lane. And the marshals are going to be there with extinguishers, so that car that had just got itself, remember, from 44 up into 9th place, heads down the pit lane. And does it go to the team or does it go to the marshals? It's going to go to the team, but the man with the extinguisher rushes over and tries to extinguish the blaze. Can the car rejoin from this? Laurent Pasquale opens the door, and that's the view from the back of the car now. Extinguishers everywhere. The team won't want too many extinguishers sprayed over all of that, because if the car has a chance of continuing, it's the devil's own job to get all the powder out, but that may well be the end of that car, especially if it was an engine drama that caused the fire. So Laurent Pasquale has legged it to a place of safety, and the Porsche, run by Ruffier Racing, sitting in the pit lane looking a bit forlorn now. Bit of a wobble for Jack Gerber going towards Senior. He's on the inside there, and he stays ahead of Koen Wouters in the number 14 Mercedes. Hangs onto the place, but now up the inside goes Mike Hazeman, so another place gain for the Mark VDS BMW. And look behind, the 36 BM in the hands of Jeffrey Van Houdonk is there as well, and another wobble. Jack Gerber goes off the road over the curb. Easy peasy to gain places now. Hazeman goes past, Van Houdonk goes past, Wouters goes past, and the number 20 Ferrari, which has now got Patrice Guillard at the wheel, is also joining in the mix. And 52, question mark over who is driving that, still shown as being Nick Commerson. But it was Nick Commerson that started, and the car made an early pit stop, so try and deduce who it is that's behind the wheel of that car. Jack Gerber still fighting to try to hang on to places as the cars turn their way up towards the end of the lap. Long stint out of the way early on, I think, in that car before he gives it over to Marco Ciocci. Past the pits they go. Ferrari overlapping as they head down then towards the first corner. How's the race leader getting on? Davide Ricard, is he heading for the pit lane possibly this time? Let's see. The leader comes towards the timing line, into the pit lane. So number 71, Davide Rigon, gets 28 laps out of that car in the first stint. He comes, and job well done. Goes past 49, that has come in. Jean-Marc Machelier having done the first stint in 49. Looking at the Nico Verdonk, he's in as well in the McLaren. So once again, pit lane is the place to look. Castle Racing goes to work. Fuel, tyres, driver, one out, one in. Daniel Zampieri was the man that put the car on pole position. Also coming in is the orange McLaren. Its best showing of the season so far, the Gignon racing car. Nico Verdonk to hand it over. Back into the race goes 49 after the pit stop. And also Jack Gerber has now come in. It was a longish first stint from the South African. And there is 71. Daniel Zampieri at the wheel, but that car has dropped way back into 14th place. Now it's going to gain on this next lap because of other people pitting ahead of it, but the safety car negated the lead, and by staying out there, they've, I'm afraid, I wouldn't have thought made the best strategy on this. They've not made the right call. That car losing places. They would have been advised, like others, to get the car in the pit lane early on and lose less time under the safety car conditions. You see the way it helped the AF Corsa team with 51. You see the way it's helped WRT and also Mark VDS. And Mike Hazelmans has just done number 4's best lap of the race, running 9th at the moment. 83 set to rejoin. Olivier Plat along with Philippe Gache and Eric Clement. It makes sense with Eric Clement in for the middle stint and then Philippe Gache to be a hero at the end. He, like Olivier Plat, very quick, very experienced driver. An hour and 3/4 remains in what has been a very hectic race to date. In terms of the lead gap, Dan Brown last lap through was being caught slightly by Christopher Hauser by a couple of tenths of a second, and the advantage that the Ferrari has is about to be updated. It's about to come through at the end of the last sector. 3.4 seconds it was. Well, there's the second place Audi. You can see for yourselves how the gap is coming down and down. Yes, there's traffic to worry about, and don't forget that Dan Brown's priority is to win the Pro-Am Cup, whereas it's a Pro Cup class car doing the chasing. The gap is down to 3 seconds as they go through. In other words, the Audi is hunting down the race-leading Ferrari, and all of this from the 8 Pro of the grid, car number 1, 45-15, and now there it is in the mix. Now, Bas Linder's car runs 3rd. Bas busy, but he's taken time to talk to Haley.
It looks like Marcus is suffering because of the traffic out there on track. How will he be able to get the pace and get ahead of it?
Well, it's very difficult with the traffic because we are so slow in the straight. So even if we lap a car, if it's a Porsche, a Ferrari, a McLaren, or even an Audi, we struggle very much. Even in the slipstream, we cannot follow them. So it's a tough battle. But we just have to keep ground like we do now, and then it should be okay. We know this is going to be a difficult weekend for us. So if we can score good points or be on the podium, that would be perfect.
You're going to be happy with your current position considering you went on the pace this weekend?
Yeah, we are not on the pace. We were like 2 seconds off almost all weekend. Qualifying still more than 1 second off. And even in the race, I mean, we've seen some blistering times, 57, 58, and the fastest we've done is 2 minutes and a little bit. So almost 2 seconds off the fastest time. But we are very consistent, so I think we made a very good call with the safety car. Again, the team did a perfect pit stop. I'm sure we gained again 10 seconds on most of them, so keep on pushing.
Thank you.
Now, another change we've just had is that Koen Wouters has put himself up past Jeffrey Van Hooydonk. So the Mercedes, illustrating the pace it had in the first stint with Dennis Rettra and the pace of yesterday. But I'm still a bit concerned about number 14 for the last stint, because when you put Rafael Ventura into that car, he again is not as quick as his co-drivers there. Kevin Despanes gets past Van Hooydonk as well. Now, what's going on for 36? All of a sudden, it's losing places. Kevin Despanes runs wide over the curb at Virage Dupont, bounces his way back onto the road, but he's still able to stay ahead of the BMW as they power past the pits. The Ferrari goes 5th, and Jeffrey Van Hooydonk, who a lap or so ago was catching Paltela in that last lap, has dropped way back, relatively speaking, into 6th place. Louis Machiels is now hunting him down as well. So, still things are changing and changing again as Kevin Despanes, who's graduated from the French Clio Cup into GT racing, hops wide over the curve. Another car lower down to keep an eye to is Mike Hazelmans, who is 9th. Now, remember number 71, Davide Rigon, that was leading early on. Not mentioned the car for a while. It has just got back into the top 10 with Daniel Zampieri, the pole position getter, at the wheel of it. And he is hunting down Mike Hazelmans at 0.6 of a second a lap, so the gap is coming down. And there, who's that we've lost? Car 20 it is that stopped. That means it is Patrice Gouillard. And he has stopped between turns 7 and turn 10. So, from Nicole, down to senior, in other words, approaching the Mistral. So that was a car that was well placed, remember, up in the leading 8, and it's now parked by the side of the road. So yet another front-running car in yet more difficulty, and Patrice Guillard is going no further. Number 1 Audi riding the curb, going through the chicane. Christopher Hasser at the wheel of the car. Last lap was slightly slower, in fact, because he fell foul of the traffic. And we're now getting a report also of another car that's stopped by the side of the circuit, which I think is Jeffrey Van Hooydonk. Yes, it is. The number 36 BMW has stopped out on track as well. So having just been talking about the car getting back ahead of Kevin Despenez's Ferrari, now Jeffrey Van Hooydonk has stopped again on the Mistral. There it is. That's the BMW out on track. And head bow, Jeffrey Van Hooydonk sits by the side of the road. The marshal says, don't sit there, come with me. And he's had a punctured tyre that's caused the car to stop. I think it is. So if the tyre has gone down and it's just too far to bring it back, the car going no further. A 49 has had a spin as well. The Ferrari that was started by Jean-Marc Machalier, former Ferrari champion, trying to rejoin. I think Al Blanc took the car over, the American driver. He gets back into the race. That's had its dramas coming towards Village, towards the end of the lap. There is Jeffrey Van Hooydonk's BMW then. Well, Stéphane Lebre knows exactly why that car is going no further. He's with Henry.
Stefan, what happened?
It seems that Jeffrey had a contact with Ferrari. He was overlapping a Ferrari who was 1 lap behind us. It seems that the driver of the Ferrari didn't see Jeff, and so the race is over, and we had chances certainly for the podium overall, and maybe for the win, so it's really a shame.
Thank you.
It is a shame, but I'll tell you, the order we're going to have at the end of this race is going to be nothing like what you'd have anticipated. Dan Brown, the race leader, has pitted now. Number 51 comes into the pit road. Koen Wouters, therefore, should inherit the lead by staying out. And also now, Marcus Palteler in relatively early to give way to Maxime Martin. Right, the weapon is unleashed then, Marc VDS Racing. Maxime Martin gets into car 3 with 65 minutes of the race to go. It's going to win again, potentially, that, isn't it? Because the speed that he has got relative to number 14, which will go the way now of the gentleman racer Raphael Vantour, is not necessarily what the BMW can catch, it's whether anything can catch it. And now the fascination begins. There it is. The car drops down, it blasts away, and we've also had number 1 in for Stefan Ortelli. I think Ortelli has stayed ahead on the pit stops. Let's check as the car goes down the pit lane. Stefan Ortelli then on track, pushing hard. That's another car that could yet win this race. So Zampieri leads the way, and the team manager of car 41 is now being summoned to the race director. That's Santilot Racing's Robert Issa, Pierre Hershey, Philippe Marie, Gentleman Trophy. Audi had a big drama for the Viper. Out of the race, very definitely, is that car. Gilles Vannelet gets out of it and walks away, and yet another conflagration for the marshals to have to sort out. We've seen Porsches go up in flames, and now the Viper well and truly out of the race, and in spectacular fashion. So the fire car is on its way to attend to this, with Jack Clark bringing in the McLaren in the meantime to give way to Edouard Mondron, and that is a big fire for the Viper, isn't it? Well and truly ablaze. And the track team there now to try and put out the blaze. That car has been burning for quite some time now. There's lots of runoff at Paul Ricard. One of the downsides is that it's quite a long slog sometimes for people to get from their point of deployment to the car itself. You can see the damage that's been done to the Viper while it's been burning. So a heavy fire at rear is how that is described by the race director. And out of the Gentleman Trophy then goes the Viper that has been very quick, but on occasions unreliable this year, and this is a very graphic illustration of unreliability. That is at senior, and it's out of the race, that car, very definitely. Zampieri has just pitted, and that's going to now put 57 Bonaccini into the lead of the race, but that's yet to make a pit stop, so you're going to get Stefan Ortelli into the lead of the race, and the one that's chasing after him will be Maxime Martin, who at the moment is not lapping as quickly as the Audi. So the Audi has kept track position, it's slightly earlier than the BMW, that's what will trick me for a moment, and so if Stefan Ortelli can carry on doing these lap times, that's going to be the car to beat. Now this is 71 back into the race after its pit stop. Stefano Gattuso trying to find a way past the 14 Mercedes of Raphael Vantour. up front. 57 Bonaccini leading the way, but yet to stop, and 71 Gattuso looking for a way round the Mercedes. Up towards the end of the lap they come. From Tour towards Virage du Pont. The Ferrari sticks its nose up the inside of the big Mercedes, but couldn't find a way by. 56 minutes are still on the clock as the cars power past the pits now, and the Mercedes is so strong in a straight line that the car is able to hang on to the place. Fourth is Vantour, fifth is Gattuso, who makes his run now on the inside, going down towards Ferrière. There he goes. Picks up the place. So now fourth is 71. Now, if Stefano Gattuso can do good lap times here, then he's got a chance. Meanwhile, just think about this for a second. Stefano Telli, who is the leading car driver in the last stint, 2 minutes 3.7 on the last lap. Maxime Martin, who's chasing him, 2 minutes 0.3, the car's best lap of the race. Remember, just to recap on what Bas Leijden said, this is the car that's slow, it's not on the pace, and they're struggling. And now it's running third. It's going to inherit second on the next pit stop from car 57 Ferrari, that's the notional race leader, and it is catching the number 1 Audi. It's got to make up 10.8 seconds, and last time through it was 3.4 seconds quicker. Yet again, it looks as though not only could Mark VDS Racing take a win, but a win out of nowhere. There's the leading car. Bonaccini gets past Philippe Gash, who sees him coming, pulls out of the way. Bonaccini hustling on. Of course, they lead out right. The target is to try and take a victory in Pro-Am. Now, on the most recent round of pit stops, I just wonder whether there was a delay in the pit stop for 51 Dan Brown, because that car has fallen back behind Bertolini and behind Rafael Vantour. So we'll hopefully get Dan Brown in a few moments and find out not only how come he did such a great job, well, partly the answer is he's a quick driver, it was a super job done by Dan Brown, but also they seem to have lost time on that pit stop for some reason. Let's try and catch up why. Dan Brown in the pit lane with Haley.
Dan, after such a mega performance in the Ferrari, you've now lost quite a bit of time. What was the reason for that?
We had an issue on the pit stop. Giuseppe pressed start and it didn't start, so it's massively frustrating, but there's still an hour of the race to go, so it's not over yet, and we're still in 4th position, so it's all good.
Thank you.
So that answers that. It's soul destroying, isn't it, for a driver? You do all that hard work, you get the car in the lead, you work hard, you keep the gap, and something as simple as the car refusing to fire up means that you end up with a totally different route to the race for the last hour. There is Giuseppe Giro, he's in 8th place, Mark Goossens ahead of him, lapping now the 2:0 bracket. The one car that's going to tumble soon is number 14, Rafael Vantour, because he's lapping the 2:5s, and those around him are, those chasing him, are 2 minutes, or in the case of Giuseppe Giro now, he's just on the car's best lap of the race at 1:59.5. He's absolutely flying. Well wound up is Giuseppe Giro, and behind him is Henri Moser, behind him is Christian Menzel, who is doing Porsche number 8's best laps of the race. It always draws attention to itself, the Haribo Sweets car, partly because of its livery, but also now because of the times that it's doing. And then also behind is Jerome Policon running in 11th place. McLaren number 5, 14th, the Clark Mondron Verdon car. Mercedes in that gang is the number 18 car that was partly responsible for the early dramas for the 35 Nissan Alex Bunker was telling you about earlier on. 75 Mark Goossens versus 51 Giuseppe Giro. The Ferrari tries to go right round the outside, going through Senior and can't do it. This is for 7th place. Can he have a go heading into the next corner down towards Berset? Yes, he can. Great stuff. Giuseppe Giro, after a long pit stop, goes 7th, but he's going to go wide. And Mark Goossens has a look back on the inside line in the crumpled Porsche, but he can't find a way through. Giuseppe Giro then bags 7th place, and the way that he's going, he's going to get more places before much longer. Right, the leader in, Bonaccini to give way to Eugenio Amos, so that's going to put Stefano Ortelli into the lead of the race. He was always the real race leader, but he's going to do it on track anyway now. So it's going to be Ortelli versus Martin versus Gattuso as the top 3 in the remaining 47 minutes, give or take, of the race. As you look down on the 57 pit stop, where that rejoins in class in Pro-Am is going to be key. The moment Pro-Am is going to be this car in the lead of it, Andrea Bertolini, ahead of Rafael Vantour's Mercedes that's being caught by Giuseppe Giro, and so 57 may well end up rejoining 4th in class, having been leading most recently. And there is 51. Has that got a problem? It has. Giuseppe Giro, after catching and doing the car's best laps of the race, has slowed, and this looks like he's heading for the pit lane. 51. Doesn't look like it's got any damage, but the car has just lost pace. And Giuseppe Giro, for a moment, might have a soft tyre, but the car is heading for the pit lane. So that's the next one for Amy to go and investigate if possible. As 51 GT1 Ferrari heads towards the pit lane, and this significant within Pro-Am. And we're getting a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane for car number 41. We go back to Gentleman Trophy for this. This is the Philippe Marie, Robert Hiss and Pierre Hershey Audi. And a drive-through penalty then for car 41 speeding in the pit lane. So Dan Brown's car is in the pit lane. Let's try and find out exactly why, because Giuseppe Chiero has brought it in. And great disappointment for Dan Brown Ferrari then. Looks like he's going to be out of the race.
Dan, obviously a disappointment for the team. What's going on?
I'm not totally sure, but I think it's gearbox, so it's day over.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Over the timing line they come, nose to tail. This the battle for 9th and 10th places. Ignore the BMW in a sec because it's not on the same lap, so Nick Katzberg stays 19th. But ahead of him is this great fight going on. Christian Menzel, the former German Carrera Cup champion, keeping the experience of Jerome Policon at bay. As they work their way now out to Verrières down towards the chicane. The gap at the start of this lap had come down yet again by another 0.3 of a second. BMW then on the back of that little group through the corners. It's good, and even if Policon were to let him go by, the chances are down to find a way back past him the next time they hit the Mistral straight. So once again at the end of the straight through Senior, you've got Policon running wide, gaining momentum, and having a look on the inside then of Menzel's Porsche that gives it racing room, runs too wide in fact, and through goes the Ferrari, and the BMW tries to nip up the inside as well. Nick Katzberg, who's not racing with Menzel, wants to get past him anyway. He can't do it, not on the outside, so he goes to the inside line, almost up alongside then as they head down towards Village, and Christian Menzel hangs on to the plate, but while he's defending from Katzberg, he's losing touch with Policon, who is now 9th overall. Andrea Bertolini lies 4th, heads down the Mistral, is being caught a little by Mark Goossens in the Porsche, but I don't think enough for that to come to be a battle before the very end of the race. Looking lower down the order, Rafael Vantour is still strong in 8th spot overall. Now there is number 4 Henri Moser, who is 6th, not catching Mark Goossens, so it looks as though 6th will be as good as it gets for that car. But to be fair, that's the best that it's had this season, because it's been a pretty fraught year so far for the second car. It was perilously close to losing a lap at Monza, which eventually it did. Then it didn't last very long at Silverstone because the car there had an electrical issue that stopped the fuel pump, and so the car retired early doors, even though Mike Hazen had set the best lap of the race, but the car didn't finish. So hopefully here it will go to the end. Telling using all of the road on the curbing as he comes now out of the Virage Dupont, goes up over the timing line. Through he goes, that lap's a 2 minutes 1.7. Maxime Martin behind him is going to have to be heroic in the last sector, and he is quicker, and the gap is going to be up, but the lap time is a 2 minutes 2.6. He's quicker in the last sector. He's got traffic still to worry about. He gets past, and then straight away the traffic thinks, well, maybe you're a bit slower than I expected to be. I'll have a look to get past you again, because nobody wants their race to be compromised, whether it's by a back marker or by a leading car that is then slower in the next sequence of corners. Ortelli, meantime, has got more traffic ahead of him, and 8 minutes of the race remain as he comes down out of the chicane. Andrea Bertolini's co-driver, Nick Homerson, is with Haley.
Nick, Andrea is doing a fantastic job out there. Can he bring it home?
Well, I hope so. You know, we're a bit tight on fuel, but we should be okay. It was a lot of fun today. We had to start, I believe, 28. So to bring it back, 4th overall and first in class is a great job.
Thank you.
There he is, Andrea Bertolini leading the Pro-Am Cup. Once again, Andrea Bertolini underlining his style. Just gets into the car, goes as fast as possible. There's no fuss about it, just consistently quick lap times. Stefano Ortelli, 3 corners to go, turns his way wide. He's going to let the slower Audi go, is he? Yes, he is. So that's Dino Lunardi, 17th up the inside, and Stefano Ortelli runs wide and nearly gets his nose chopped off, coming then now towards the completion of the last lap of the race, heading towards Village now. And Maxime Martin is still pushing on behind him, but in fact was also losing out in that middle sector because of traffic. So the Audi comes up towards the line, and we've got a problem for one of the other cars. It's the Kyrgios BMW that slowed right down. Ollie Bryant looks like he's having to limp to the flag. Maybe that's fuel as well, but it's going to be a win for Audi because Stefano Ortelli comes across the line to take victory in round 3 of the Blancpain Endurance Series. Stefano Ortelli, Christopher Hasse and Christopher Mies to take victory at Paul Ricard. It's a win for the Audi, and second it's the BMW over the line. Maxime Martin with Bas Liners and Marcus Paltela. coming home in second place, and for third, as you can see, the Curie Cos BMW limping to the line. Third now is Stefano Gattuso, Davide Rigon and Daniel Zampieri, and Ollie Bryant limp to the line. I think it must just about get there. Coast over the line as Andrea Bertolini wins Pro-Am, and the Curie Cos BMW comes through 20th, goes across the timing line, and that last lap, 3 minutes and 23, you saw the car limping through the last corner, and very, very slow indeed over the line, but it's got to the end in 20th place overall. And the celebrations break out at the Belgian Audi Club Team WRT. They're very relieved. And it's Christopher Mies in Pro-Am, third different winning combination of the year. Andrea Bertolini, along with Nick Homerson and Louis Machiels, victorious in the Ferrari. They are absolutely delighted, that team, and understandably so, because the car, remember, was way, way back on the grid. And from 15th, Audi wins at Paul Ricard. Hayley.
Stefan, congratulations. You're a local hero. You've been racing here and watching races here for many years. What does it feel to have taken this win this weekend?
First of all, well done for the championship. I mean, I've been racing here many times, but not with so many cars. I want to thank this family spirit we have with WRT. It's such a great team. We came back from a difficult position in free practice. We've been doing extremely well job, and I want to say thank you for both Chris. It's good to win here, and I want to dedicate this win to Jean Ortelli, my dad, who bring me here for the first time in 1973. Thank you.
Thank you. Christopher, congratulations, another great result for the team. You've had 3 podium finishes now.
Yeah, so far so good, but it was not so easy like it looks. I mean, both of my teammates, especially Christopher and then Stefan as well, did an incredible job. I mean, the last laps were just a crime, so I'm really happy, especially for the boys, because we were 3 seconds off in the free practice, so yeah, we had quite a good pace.
And Christopher, it would look like you made a great fuel strategy. Was in place for the team this week.
Yeah, I mean, our team did just a great job in that case. They did the strategy and also the tactic which we did in the race just perfect, and at the end it was the key order to win the race.
Thank you, guys.
Well, there are the 3 winning drivers: Stefano Ortelli, Christopher Hasse, Christopher Mies. They'll head to the podium. Marcus Palsolo congratulates Maxime Martin, and a very, very happy team. Second, 5.8 seconds adrift at flagfall. It's a win for the Belgian Audi Club. Christopher Hasse, Christopher Mies and Stefano Ortelli defeat Marc VDS's Marcus Palsolo, Bas Linders and Maxime Martin, and the Ferrari of Stefano Gattuso, Davide Rigon and Daniel Zampieri. Henrici, Mawson and Goossens 4th, Langin, Hazemans, Moser 5th, and then 6th in the Pro Cup, Clark, Mondron and Nico Verdonk ahead of Philippe Gach's Porsche, and the United Autosports McLaren in 8th. Onto the podium bounces Christopher Mies, Christopher Hasse and Stefano Ortelli, victors in the 3rd round of the Blancpain Endurance Series here at Paul Ricard. And the story continues at Spa at the end of July for the Spa 24 Hours. If you've never been to the Spa 24 Hours, it is well worth a visit. It's a huge entry. It's a great circuit, Spa, of course, so it's one to go and explore, I reckon. And with the likes of Tom Christensen joining the entry for this year's race, it could be another forming race. Audi victorious there last year. Perhaps coming on the back of a victory at Paul Ricard, it could be 2 in a row in the Spa 24 Hours. Let's see. The trophies in the air for the winning drivers. And Vincent Vance hiding in the background gets his winning team's trophy as well, as Team WRT celebrates here at Paul Ricard. Time for the champagne, and although beaten on track, it's the Marc VDS team that are first out with the champagne. And let's have a look at how Pro-Am finished, with victory for AF Corsa ahead of Vita 41 Team Italy and Sofrev Autosport Promotion. Again, very much dominated by Ferrari. Homerson, Machiels and Bertolini ahead of Amos, Petrovelli and Bonacini. Savare, Balthazar and Policon the top 3. Best Porsche in class, Hans-Guido Riegel, Mike Sturzberg and Christian Metzel. Then the Mercedes, good result for Bruchin, Metzger and Oliver Morley. The other Mercedes are Vantor, Wouters and Retro that went so well early on, dropping in the end to 6th in class after Vantor was tagged into that spin and lost pace. Porsche 7th, the Valtoire's car, McLaren 8th, Gregoire de Moustier and Duncan Taffy, and in the end, 13th in class, the Ecuria Cos BMW after staggering to the end. I suspect that was a car low on fuel, but it got there. 20th overall, 13th in class. Jay Twyman, Ollie Bryant and Ollie Milroy ahead of Mike Wainwright and Rob Bell's McLaren, which showed good pace early on. Rob Bell carving his way through from near the back after the turbo had to be changed. If you want to do well in the class, a Ferrari is what you need. Class win for AF Corsa. They now pay the penalty for that by being soaked with the champagne, victorious in the Pro-Am Cup at the end of round 3 of the championship. For the Gentleman Trophy, another victor there as well, which gives you 3 different winners in the 3 races, because we've got the Porsche of De Brouwer and Kelders ahead of the Brunstedt, Bender and Mangs Audi. And third in class, Hershey, Issam and Philippe Marie, first time out. Trophies about to be presented, except they've got a bit keen with the champagne, haven't they, Christian Kelders and Daniel De Brouwer? So break with protocol, drench one another, and this is how gentlemen behave, you understand. So everybody gets soaked, as the drivers can't now spray the champagne because most of it's gone. I think there's one bottle left from Jan Brunstedt, the retired airline pilot, at the end of what has been another great round of the Blancpain Endurance Series. Next stop is Spa. Hayden Coxon and me, David Anderson. From here, goodbye.